We're looking for a hard-working guy that doesn't mind some honest hard work, somebody that's going to take care of our customers, be responsible out there, take pride in that Oakley, on the side of his truck and our truck.
Right. Well, this goes right back to that. We feel we have the top-tier guys here.
And we do.
We do.
And we're proud of it.
Welcome to the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. This show is brought to you by Oakley Trucking, headquartered in North Little Rock, Arkansas. The purpose of this podcast is to communicate with Oakley owner-operators and their families by giving them up-to-date information concerning Oakley trucking and the trucking industry, from business advice to safety updates to success stories. Also to give an insight to outside truck drivers that might be interested in joining the Oakley family.
Hi, this is Corey Huey, and I'm your host for this podcast. This is episode 31. On today's episode, we're going to switch things up a little bit. Jeremy's off on vacation this week, celebrating his anniversary with his wife, Elizabeth, of 25 years, I believe is what he told me last week while he was still here. So congratulations to them. But we thought it'd be a good time to put together a recruiting podcast or roundtable, if you will. And joining me on today's podcast is basically our whole recruiting team, minus Randolph, of course, and then, a couple of ladies down there that really help us out a lot. But we've got Kent Childers, Dustin Eagle, and Jeremy Paul, or JP as he's known around the office here. We all wanted to get on here and just kind of give an update on orientation and recruiting, as well as try to answer some questions that we get asked a lot on the phone. But first, let's hear from Vickie Chastain on this week's Need to Know segment.
Did you know that Oakley Trucking paid out around $2.75 million last year on anniversary bonuses to its owner-operators, with the average bonus being around $4,300? This bonus was created to reward our owner-operators for the job they did the previous year, and also give them incentive for the years to come. At Oakley Trucking, we love seeing our owner-operators succeed, and the longer you stay with Oakley, the more successful you will become. I'm Vickie Chastain, and that's this week's Need to Know segment.
All right, guys, let's kick this thing off. Talking about anniversaries, just how long have you guys all been here? I know Kent's the veteran here. I mean, he basically trained all of us here in the recruiting side. So if anybody's got an issue, it's his fault.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, we can back that up a little further. I have been here 13 years, and I'm a project of Jeremy Kelly. Sat and listened to him pull up my chair and sat right beside him and listened to him for phone call after phone call.
Well, good. And out of those 13, how long have you been in the recruiting side, Kent?
13.
13, okay.
I was here 1 year before that in dispatch.
Okay, good. And I've been here, this is Corey, I've been here 10 years. 9 of that has been in the recruiting side. So February was my anniversary here. What about you, Eagle?
Yeah, I've been here a few months away from 9 years now.
Okay.
Spent 3.5, 4 years in dispatch and going on my 5th year in recruiting now.
Okay.
So yeah, and Ken has helped me through the process this whole time and trained me, and so I feel like I know a little bit about it. JP, how long you been here, bud?
Man, I've been here 3.5 years now, the rookie. And I, too, was trained by Kent, so if you talk to me on the phone and think something's wrong, that's what's wrong.
And you still dabble in the dispatch side, too. I know.
Yeah.
Just helping out whenever a guy's on vacation or something, so.
Yeah, I started doing dump dispatch when I first started over here, and then transitioned in the recruiting department and still fill in occasionally on the dispatch side. Like you said, somebody's on vacation. So
Right.
They don't ask me to do that much.
Right. Me either anymore,
I still get to do it every now and then. It's good to do, though, every now and then.
It sure is. It kind of helps you get in that mindset and see what...
It helps you in recruiting, You get to see what kind of loads they're doing these days,
Right.
What lanes they're running. It's good to do it every now and then.
it definitely is. I agree.
Well, so, a lot of years of experience over here in the recruiting side. So with all that being said, what are some of the main questions that you feel like that we get asked a lot on the phone when a guy calls in? Whether it's, how often can I get home?
Right,
or,
right.
What are your qualifications? Or
Where all do y'all go?
Right.
Yeah, that's a big one. Where all do you run?
Yep. Yep. And how fast can you get me back home?
Right. And we try to, not really steer a guy in a certain direction, but we can ask just a couple of questions based on, where somebody lives or how often they're wanting to be home to kind of, that maybe eliminate him on certain divisions
Exactly.
or something like that. So
Yeah, you kind of got to ask him what he's wanting at first, and like you
just
said,
kind of piece him in, whatever.
and that might eliminate 2 or 3
Sure,
divisions.
sure.
Yeah, if they'll give us enough information, we put a pretty good plan together for him and run those divisions by him and see which one would work best for him.
Mm-hmm. Another big question we get asked a lot, I think, is mileage or percentage. How do you pay?
Right.
I think that's a pretty common question we get, and
that's a tough one to answer sometimes too.
It is.
It's hard to compare, apples to oranges.
Right.
Yeah, because we've always paid mileage here. We've that's something we've always done, so we really don't know the other side of it.
Right. Well, and I think too, what I've learned on that percentage side, a lot of guys, they know the percentage that they're making, but they don't really know what the load's paying. They just know, hey, I'm making 80%. Well, 80% of what? Well, I don't know. And maybe some guys do, but at least on the mileage side, it's a lot easier to know what you're going to be getting paid because
And a lot of guys don't look at how much deadhead they're not getting by getting paid percentage.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. When we're sitting here recruiting and these guys ask, what do you pay? And we say, well, pay X amount loaded, X amount empty, depending on what division you're talking about. And they say, you pay empty miles. And that's a big thing too.
Right.
I guess that's something rare that we do compared to a lot of other companies out there.
Yeah, because a lot of the guys are like, well, how much deadhead do you have? And I'm like, well,
0.
It really doesn't matter to you because you're getting paid for those empty miles.
That's right.
A lot of these, we have the 2 divisions that require special equipment, and most guys haven't pulled an end dump or a pneumatic tank. Now there's a lot to have, and they'll want to know about training.
Right. Sure.
And that's something we do here, just for anybody out there listening. We do get you, paired up with one of our owner operators that's been here for a while and
a good seasoned guy.
Good seasoned guy that knows what he's doing, with Qualcomm running that trailer, just going over everything with you and putting your mind at ease a little bit when you first come out of the gate.
Right. Yeah, and that's good. And really, we're not pairing you up with somebody to learn how to drive. We go through, pretty intense qualifications. You're obviously well qualified to be here. You wouldn't be here. It's just learning the Oakley way, I guess, is a good way to say it. With the way we want the paperwork and safety wise and stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I've never been anywhere else, but I'm sure that we probably do things a little differently than where they came from.
Right. Very, very thorough.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I bet if you polled some of our owner operators, they would probably say the same thing.
We ask a lot during the application process.
Sure.
Yeah. We want to get it out, done up front.
Yes, sure we do.
And that
eliminates a lot of problems down the road for something that he wasn't expecting or something that we weren't expecting.
Right. Sure.
And I think a lot of guys appreciate that. Once they get into that process with us, they're like, man, this company knows what they're doing.
That's right.
And it makes a guy feel good and proud to get it done and get over here.
So what about some of the struggles? Some of that we just hit on is, I guess, struggles that we face during the recruiting process. But what would y'all say probably the number one?
10-year work history.
Work history?
Yeah, 10-year.
That's a big one.
That's a battle there.
Getting guys to fill out the full 10-year history.
Right. And a lot of guys, what we see is, they're not keeping track of that over the years.
Right.
They don't think they're going to need that, but actually, by FMCSA standards on our applications, what's required. So it's good to have that 10 years up front. And, and my advice to any owner operators or drivers out there, is if you don't have that 10-year history together, get it together sometime, put it all down and keep it there for your records because you'll need it, come in handy. And it'll actually speed your application process with us too if we know a good, accurate 10-year work history up front. So
Miss Gail loves that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Make her happy. But it'll speed it up, completely. Because a lot of times what will happen is, we've got to verify that previous 3 years of employment. And Well, if we verify what we think is a consecutive 3 years, then we get a gap in there, then, well, that's another job we got to verify. So it just, prolongs things if we don't have that full 10-year history.
Right. What else?
Obviously, I think health's a big one.
Health,
We cover that in depth with an owner operator or driver before they get here, and we ask all kinds of questions, and we've even come up with more questions to ask here recently.
Right.
That's
it's very important. And
yeah, I know JP dealt with that on a guy that you've got coming next week with sleep apnea.
Right.
So sleep apnea obviously is not a disqualifier to drive a truck or drive a truck with Oakley. It's just getting all the documentation that goes along with that to, submit it to the doctor and all that so that you can get your physical.
I'm going to say that bobtail weight's getting pretty tough right now.
You're
Also, we're in a boat
exactly
business,
right.
but that bobtail weight's very, very important, and these trucks are not getting any lighter.
Right.
That-
Yeah.
that
is a huge
that's
one.
been a recent struggle, and it's something we struggle with every day, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, we talk about it all the time, and it shocks me still to this day. We know it's coming, but, I heard you say last week, two similar trucks off the same lot, they looked the exact same, could weigh completely different.
Could weigh 500-600 pounds different.
You just never know.
Every one of them are different.
Yeah, that's why, I was talking to one of our current owner operators earlier today. He was talking about getting a new truck, and he was wanting to get a brand new W9, and of course, W9 in my head, that's one of the heaviest trucks there is. And he says, well, so-and-so's over here, and he has the same truck. And I said, well, going back to your point there, JP, I mean, just because it's the same truck doesn't mean it's got the same specs on the inside. I mean, you might have a 2-inch wider bunk or an extra cabinet and TV in there or something that
Double frame you don't know about. I've dealt with that a few times.
Make these salesmen work for you. I mean, let them know, hey, if I'm fixing to spend $140,000 plus on a new truck, pull it over and get me an actual certified CAT scale weight, because that's going to determine, whether or not I can bring this truck on over at Oakley. So.
Yeah, most of the time those salesmen, they're, when you ask about the weight, they usually mention the stamp weight first. So that's why it's great to get that CAT scale too and know the exact weight of it.
And that kind of goes, with the weight. Kind of let me slide this in there real quick. Is we work with a handful of dealerships here, that we trust, that know our qualifications, know what weight for each division, and it helps guys out a lot. It helps us out a lot. It takes a lot of pressure off of them, a lot of pressure off us, and we wouldn't use them if we didn't trust them.
That's right. And,
That's right.
I don't really think they would be selling our guys a truck we wouldn't lease on. I mean, we do trust them, and you can tell them, hey, I'm looking at Oakley, I'm improved over there, and I want to go to the hopper division. And that sends they know exactly what weight range they need to be looking for.
Right.
And we only work with a handful of them, so that tells you, we only trust a few of them out there that we know. I mean, obviously there's a lot of good dealerships out there, but we work with, a handful that knows what we need. And, you can always ask us, who that is and we can relay that information to you.
And it makes it such a easier transition too, it seems like, because we have to get the truck paperwork, get the truck titled in their name.
And that kind of goes into another struggle. You just hit it, truck paperwork.
That's
right.
right.
Oh, yeah.
Man, that's an ongoing battle.
Huge struggle. What about some needs? Talking about what are some of our needs right now? I know, Manley's been talking to us a lot. He's our operations guy in the pneumatic side. They're super busy right now, so they're looking for some pneumatics guys, whether they have prior experience or maybe some guys that are leased on here, trainable guys, guys that are leased on here swapping over. So that's always a big.
Yeah, you really need to talk on that. If we have some guys here, if you're listening and you're considering going to the pneumatic tank division, you need to get a hold of one of us or Manley over there in dispatch, because they are very busy. I would say also any husband-wife teams. I mean, any teams, of course, but man, husband-wife teams just seem to really flow over here.
I wish we had a bunch more. How many do we have, you guys think now? 3 or 4?
Yeah, I would say 5, somewhere in there, maybe.
About a handful.
Yep. And all of them do very well here.
And they sure do.
But I'd say if you're interested in those pneumatics, now's a great time to do it. I mean, didn't we hear Manly say, I guess it was Monday, Kent, they're turning down some loads right now.
Yes.
Just don't have enough trucks ready for them. So,
And that's the division I used to dispatch, and I can tell you, they stay very busy. They'll keep you. They make money. Pneumatics is a great division to be in. So yeah, like Kent said, if you're out there listening and you're thinking about it and you got questions, call us.
Right.
We can definitely answer them for you, or get you to the right people that can answer them.
That takes me back to our very first question is what we get asked a lot on the phone is this seasonal work? How many times y'all hear that on the phone?
Exactly, a lot.
It's definitely not seasonal work, no matter which division that you're doing over here with us. It's going to keep you humping pretty much year round. So,
and I think a lot of that comes from when people think of a hopper bottom, they see them on farms, they're thinking, just corn,
right,
seasonal
grain,
product.
And that's just stuff to add on top of what
that's
we
right.
already
Exactly.
are doing.
All right, man. I'll tell you something else I wanted to kind of hit on while we were all in here is recruiting cards. So that's always a big thing for us. It's obviously our number one recruiting tool here. So, how many of those y'all think we get a week typically?
I'd say probably 10 to 15 in that range.
Yeah,
I would think, and and out of them, you might get 3 or 4 good ones.
Right.
Well, the key with a recruiting card is it's coming from one of our guys who is a good one.
That's
Sure.
right.
And,
Exactly.
And we feel like we have the best guys here, and if you're recruiting a guy, I'm assuming that you're recruiting somebody that you would think would fit in over here and with a good work ethic.
And that's the number one way we hire guys here is recruiting cards. Our guys talking to other drivers out there, and we need recruiting cards here. We feel like we get the best ones from recruiting cards. Like
I
Kent
agree.
said.
And I ran a report before we came up here because I know we were going to kind of talk about this, but since January 1 of this year, we've leased on 96 owner operators just because of recruiting cards.
Wow.
So that's awesome.
And speaking of recruiting cards, I guess everybody should know about our recruiting bonus.
Yeah, they're still worth $5,000.
Worth $5,000 for if you don't know that right now. So, the first step is, you turn in a card and it's a qualified lead, you get $100 right there.
Yep, that's $5,100.
$5,100, yeah. So, and if we lease them on, you could potentially get up to 5,000 more right there. So,
I think too we need to add, what we mean by qualify on that as well. Every now and then I'll get a call from an owner operator. Hey, I turned in a recruiting card to you, but I didn't get, my $100 for it. Well, what we mean by qualify is, we're looking for that 2 years of over the road experience, and we've also looked, we got to get them on the phone too.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
Yeah.
We've got to actually get them on the phone.
Run into that a lot.
Yeah, we do, and it might take us, a couple tries to get them on the phone. So you're looking at several weeks before you get qualified. But 2 years over the road, and it's also got to be a new lead to Oakley. Somebody we've never spoken with before or never been turned in.
And speaking of that, for the guy that turns it in, I think it's very important for him to keep recruiting him as well.
Absolutely.
Not just turn it over to us. You keep talking to him. You keep calling him, and it's encouraging him and telling him what's going on here.
Well, they'll sure see better results out of that.
Oh,
well, and I try, if I try to call a guy, 2 or 3 times and don't get him on the phone, well, then I'm going to call the recruiter back and say, hey, man, this guy that you turned in, I can't get him on the phone. You may try to call him. Because, how many times you guys get a phone call on your cell phone and you look at the number and be like, who the heck is this? And I'm not answering that, So that, I'm sure a lot of it's that, and then just that they're busy. You're talking to guys that may work nights, and while we're here working, we're trying to call them and they're in bed asleep, so.
And don't be scared to ask us about those when you do turn in a recruiting card for owner operators out there. What I mean by that is, I had an owner operator call the other day asking about one of his recruiting cards. He hadn't seen anything from him or heard anything about. I said, well, I hadn't ever get a hold of him. And I said, well, look over the number here. Let's read it back, the number you gave to me, and let's see, maybe if I just wrote the number down wrong. And sure enough, I did. So, don't be scared to follow back up with those, and we'll stay on top of them.
Yeah, and let's probably good to mention now how they can send them in. Let's kind of recap that.
There's a lot of ways.
A lot of ways, man. You can obviously recruiting card. You can fill out the recruiting card. is probably the best way.
Well, I'd say second best. I sure like to have you call me.
Well,
and give
yeah,
me that deal.
okay, yeah,
Yeah, that's always the best, I think. Call and
Yeah. You just
tell
call.
us directly. That way it can't get lost out anywhere.
Right.
You're talking directly to us.
We'll sure fill it out for you. We can check right then. Hey, if this guy's called in before, or we can let you know right then that hey, this is a good legit recruit. Good
That's
deal.
very
Let's
true.
keep rolling.
And we also, we've got Transmo Plus. They can send their
Right.
recruiting cards in through
Right.
there. And that's good if you're talking to somebody after hours when we're not here and you don't want to forget about them. You want to make sure they get turned in. That's good to, take a picture of it, send it in under TransFlow, and it comes to all of us recruiters, and one of us will give your potential recruit a call.
all right. And then I guess the last way is just through the driver portal.
Yep.
You can fill it out that way as well. So, or just
That, I have a lot
write
of
it
guys.
on your dang hand and take a picture up with your phone and email it.
I mean, I have a lot of guys that send me
Anyway,
text to my cell phone.
Sure.
Yeah.
That after hours, like JP said, they
Right.
send it to my cell phone. Call this guy in the morning.
I remember about a year ago, we actually got a picture of the recruit. I don't know if you remember that or not, but we got an emailed picture of the recruit they were wanting.
I mean, we'll take them any way we can get them.
That's
So
right.
you get them here to us.
Oh, I was wanting to hit on the company party this year. I know that's kind of a
downer.
bummer,
Man.
that's not taking place. We hate that we won't get to see everybody this year. I know I do, and I'm sure all these guys do as well. Is take pride in seeing all the guys that we personally recruited that get awards for safe driving or 1,000,000 miles and stuff like that, and getting to meet their families. A lot of them maybe new guys the first time getting to meet some of those, but we've got close to 900 of the best owner operators in the business.
That's right.
So hopefully we can crank that back up next year.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Sure like
I hope
seeing
so.
everybody.
I like
That's a
watching
lot of
everybody
fun.
dance.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a fun time. You get to be around everybody outside of work
Right.
one
That's
time a
right.
year,
Mhm.
Sure.
and that's the one time you kind of just put work
Yeah,
back of your head
That is
and-
nice.
and talk to everybody and just
Unwind. You're not talking about business.
exactly.
You're getting
It's
out of the
just great to
office.
see everybody out there at one time.
And that's good because we don't get to see all of our owner operators outside the element a lot too. Usually when we see them here on the yard unloading or getting some paperwork and they're gone.
Right.
It's good to get to spend some quality time with them and talk to them more.
It
Meet your
it
families.
rewards them for their hard work all year.
Yeah.
That we don't tell them. We tell them every chance we get, but we can't tell them
No,
enough.
that's right.
That's right.
Hey, and next year, Corey, you had the idea. You pitched to Tommy, and Tommy sounded like you might want to try and put it together. So maybe we'll be doing a truck show type deal if we can
Yeah.
put it together. So it might be some
Pride
exciting.
and polish
Yeah.
company party, man.
I know we got some out there that love that.
So we'll have to come up with some more ideas for
Yeah.
next year's party
That'd
and
be good. Oh,
come back strong.
We could line up some chrome out here in
Yeah,
this
man.
parking lot.
Oh yeah,
Look good.
we've got some good looking trucks here already. I can tell you that. I take pride in seeing one of our trucks go down the road.
Man, ain't that the truth?
I hear it all the time. You have a lot of when you talk to a recruit on the phone. I called in because I see how nice trucks and trailers look out
That's
there.
right.
Right.
That's a huge plus.
And hey, since we're talking about that, we got an email earlier from Shane over in operations,
Mhm.
basically talking about that same thing. And I printed that off so I could read it, but it was one of our customers that said they were very impressed with all the Oakley trucks they've seen. They went on to say that they were impressed with the cleanliness and the operator driving skills. The trucks looked very professional, and they were not sure if they'd ever seen a dirty truck. So, it's not very often that we get, positive feedback. Seems like all you ever hear is that, when something goes wrong. But I thought that was good and wanted to share that with you guys. So that's good.
That's a good pat on the back right
Absolutely.
That is.
All right. Well, guys, y'all got anything else? Or
I think one thing we do need to touch base on, real quick, just for guys out there looking to maybe join Oakley, is the type of work we do here. A lot of
Right.
guys don't know. They hear dry bulk, but they don't really know exactly what we do.
Right.
I think that's a big one. We get asked that a lot on the phone.
we do. We sure do.
And, we have different divisions here, obviously hopper bottoms, frameless end dumps, pneumatic tanks. And we haul a lot of different products throughout each division. And, the type of work it is, it can be, dusty, dirty sometimes.
Hands on.
It's more hands on than a lot of divisions you see out there. You're getting in trailers, sweeping them out. And I think a recruit needs to know that. If he's looking to join Oakley, and it's rewarding for the recruit. Obviously,
It is.
We have a great program here.
And we have a lot of good YouTube videos on all of these divisions
We
on our
do.
website.
We do.
Exactly.
And more to come.
Yeah, well, that's excellent, and the ones that are there now are very good, and I'm glad to know we got some more coming. But there's a lot of information out there about these 3 divisions.
Uh-huh. Yeah, definitely watch those, and that's just something I think we should mention before we get out of here, because we get asked it a lot.
Right.
What all do you haul? And where do you run? It just all ties together, and a guy needs to know what type of work he's getting into before he gets over here, and we do a good job of that here.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they see a dump truck and they think, well, you got to pick up a load, take it out there, come right back, and this is just the opposite. This is a huge customer base that we service. That we're over the road with a in-dump truck.
Right.
Yeah, we're looking for a hard-working guy that doesn't mind some honest hard work. Somebody that's going to take care of our customers. Be responsible out there. Take pride in that Oakley. On the side of his truck and
That's
our
right.
truck.
Right. Well, goes right back to that. We feel we have the top tier guys here.
And we do.
We do.
And we're proud of it. Our guys are, in our minds, the best out
That's
there.
right.
But there is a lot of work involved in it. Like you talking about going between products. They'll never forget me. And when I was dispatching, I rode on a truck for a week before I got to dispatch, and I went with Larry Gwynn up out on the road. And remember, we went down to Walter Coke. I don't know if it's still called Walter Coke, but it's the same facility now. But we went to Walter Coke, and I got a load, and they loaded him way over his bows. And so me and Larry had to get in the trailer and push that Coke down below the bows. So, if you're looking at the end dump, you're going to have to crawl and load sometimes. You're going to have to get in there and get dirty sometimes, and it's not fun. And that was in the summer. It was, I think, May, and it was hot.
Boy, buddy, he's glad you was with him.
Oh, man, he was. He said, man, he might do this every week.
Here's this broom.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I
He
only
said,
have one.
you can just be my shotgun rider. So,
They told you to get the full experience.
yeah,
so there
that's
you
right.
go.
And later on that week, we ended up having to patch some holes up in the tarp too. So there's going to be a lot. If you're coming from somewhere like a dry van or reefer background, that's all you've known. It is going to be, a completely different line of work. It's battling the elements. It's getting dirty. It's getting hands-on with it. But as you mentioned, Dustin, it is very rewarding in the end.
It is.
And it pays.
It does.
And that shows in our owner-operators' trucks and equipment.
All right, good stuff, guys. I believe that's going to do it. Just want to say, thank you guys for listening. We hope that you enjoyed this podcast this week. Jeremy will be back next week unless we, get some great ratings on this and we just take over full time.
Pump this up.
Pump it up.
Pump it up. This needs to be number one.
Number one. Got to be.
But if you haven't liked or subscribed to our podcast or our YouTube channel, like we were just talking about with some of those videos, give us a follow and check in there. Me and JP are trying to put out, a new video every a week or so. So if you've got any questions or like to speak to a recruiter, give us a call, and one of us can sure help you answer any questions that you may have. And we'll see you guys next week. Y'all be safe.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Oakley Podcast, Trucking, Business, and Family. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate or review the show in the podcast platform of your choice and share it with a friend. We love hearing from our audience, so if you've got a question, comment, or just want to say hello, head over to our website, theoakleypodcast.com, and click the Leave a Comment button. We'll get you a response soon and may even share some of the best ones here on the show. We'll be back with a fresh episode very soon. Thanks for listening.